All right, folks, what is going on? This is episode 804 of the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller. Over here, we talk about Georgia Southern and Atlanta Falcons football. And we're going to grade both of these teams throughout, the first 5 games of the season. I think with both teams at 3-2, it's been a roller coaster ride for both. I also think that both teams are learning how to play with one another, especially with the big turnover with the Atlanta Falcons and all the new players that are coming in. And you see Georgia Southern still trying to build off of what Coach Clay Helton is trying to put together. And for all intents and purposes, it looks like it is working out for both teams, especially with the Atlanta Falcons. A lot of, surprises that's been happening so far. And Georgia Southern has found a way to play their style of football exactly the way that they want to. So we're going to talk about both the ups and downs, all the things that they can improve on, the things that they're better than others at, and how well they played overall when it comes to both of these teams. So if this is your first time here, welcome. I could be found on YouTube and Rumble. I'm also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you want to follow me on X or Twitter, is at VF Baller. And over there, I talk about things that don't necessarily make it to the show. And I talk about my other channel, which is a gaming channel on that Twitter timeline as well. So if you want to check it out, really would appreciate it. That'd be absolutely awesome. Let's get into this. I can't, be I can't really be as disappointed as I thought I would be after the first game with the Falcons. I can't really be, excited about what Georgia Southern has done so far. When it comes to, Georgia Southern, I'm gonna get to them first. I'm kind of more even keeled, and with the Falcons, I'm more excited. The reason why with Georgia Southern I'm more even keeled because I expected this type of play from Georgia Southern. There was a couple things that excited me, a couple things that surprised me, especially when it came to the Boise State game. They played a lot better, than I thought they would. I thought it was going to be more of I thought it was going to be more of a shootout, but not as close as it was going to be. And what they've done was like, okay, I see that they can compete with pretty much anybody. And I know that the Ole Miss game was what that was, and Ole Miss top 5 team, they looking kind of suspect right now from the losses that they got. But at the time, they were on point. When you look at Georgia Southern, the way they played football for the past 5 games, I actually like everything about what they've done. The run game started to pick up in the Georgia State game. The passing game, what can you say about J.C. French? He looks really good passing the ball. And the defense is finding the ways to, get stops when needed, especially when they're playing at the talent level that they're supposed to. And and also overall, the team itself feels like they can, go into Sun Belt play and actually win this thing. And there's not too many concerns about how the way they're playing. So, especially with the running game, I love what Jalen White has been able to do. I love what OJ Arnold has been able to do. Both of those guys are already over 200 yards for the season collectively. Even JC French is on the plus side of rushing yards. Jalen White has started to pick up a little bit when it comes to the running game, especially the last game. And, OJ Arnold is averaging almost 7 yards a carry. You cannot beat that. JC French throwing the ball 112 for 177, over 1,000 yards, over 1,100 yards, 1122. 7 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Way better than what we expected. I ain't gonna say what we expected. Way better than what we had in the last few years, with quarterback play. 1 interception, you can't really beat that. He's been putting the ball in places where nobody else can get the ball but the receiver. And for the most part, he's been playing exceptionally well. As for the defense is finding ways to get off the field at opportune times. You saw what they did with the Georgia State game, and it seemed like this is where everything's starting to build up. Even when they played against Nevada, when they played against, the other team, South Carolina State, they found ways to get off the field, stopping teams when need be. Even when, Georgia State, you can look at that game, they basically got touchdowns off of, that one big play they got. And when J.C. French, the ball slipped out his hand, it kind of got them back in the game. But for the most part, when they were able to bog down and actually be in front of the defense or front of their offenses, they've been finding ways to get off the field and not let too much get ahead of them. With the Ole Miss game, what can you do? I mean, you got Jackson Dart, dude was a Heisman candidate. There's not much you can do in that game. Even with the Ashton Genty, game when we played against Boise State. He ran up like what 240, 260 against us, but the rest of the team really couldn't do much of anything. So um, we were able to hold on outside of that phenomenal talent of that running back. So when I want to give this team a grade, when I look at everything that has been done with Georgia Southern, they will take home the Commissioner's Cup. They're 3-2. They're on track to, be a force in the Sun Belt. They got to go through Marshall and JMU. Those are the next two games. As of right now, I'll give this team a solid B plus because they could have done some things that was a little bit better, even in the wins. But nevertheless, at them being at the point they are right now, if they would have won against Boise State, easily would have gave them an A. And they did have a chance to win versus Boise, so I give them a solid B plus. And I think that's pretty fair. For the most part, these guys have done everything that they're supposed to so far. They're on track, basically where we all thought they would be. If you really looked at this team and see how it will play out, we kind of thought the Boise game, and we kind of thought that the Ole Miss game was going to be the game that we was going to lose. And in some cases, we kind of thought the Nevada game could have been a game that we could have lost as well because we're on the road. But we end up winning that game. And you could make a case that they get an A, but still, I think it'd be fair enough to give them a B plus. And I think that's, where they stand. Going up against Marshall with these two, mobile, guys that they have in the backfield, the quarterback and the running back for Marshall, they're going to have their hands full. Fortunately, they do play them in Paulson, so that does help. But look, Marshall's is a good team, so they're a little bit better than I thought they would be. So this is something that we're going to have to look forward to. We'll talk about that later on in the year. All right. I'm sorry. We'll talk about them later on in the week. All right, let's go and get to these Falcons before we get out of here. What can you say about this team? 3-2. Do you give credit or do you discredit them for the Steelers game? I'm going to take a hit for them from the Steelers game because you went through this entire preseason, thought that everything was going to be ready. And to be honest, the Falcons basically use the Steelers game as a preseason game. That's not the way to go. I understand that it's not a divisional game. It's not even a conference game. So you don't lose much in the scheme of things. But what if that was a divisional game? What if that was a conference game where it does matter when it comes to seeding in the playoffs? So I gotta ding them on that because every game counts. But overall, after that, I mean, you go up, against, the Saints. I mean, you go up against the Philadelphia Eagles. You win that one. You almost beat the Chiefs one bad call away of possibly winning that game. You turn around and you set it off. And what a great game you played against the Buccaneers, beating the Saints on a field goal as well. But that game right there, that I'm showing on the screen, when they beat the Buccaneers in overtime, this team, not only they've set, they set themselves up for a pretty good run, but I think we're really seeing the team, what the type of team we have in front of us. And I think this team is a lot better than what we give them credit for. I think the Steelers game was, that pretty much was a game that kind of set everybody off a little, on the wrong track. We thought that this was something was wrong. We were sold a bad bill of goods. Was Kirk Cousins healthy? Is this team actually up to the task? But once you start to see how this team is flowing and how they're playing, this is a really good team. The defense themselves are playing very well. I think the defense kind of slacked off a little bit in the last couple games. But the first 3 games, the defense is playing very good. I mean, even with the whole situation with the Steelers, we didn't give up a touchdown. We didn't give up a touchdown in that game. The second game against Philadelphia, we found a way to, get the stops at the right time to be in a position to win that game, even though, Saquon Barkley did miss that catch. But overall, I mean, we made stops when need be at certain times. You turn around and look at the Chiefs game, we intercepted Patrick Mahomes and really was in a position to win that game. Now, when you look at the Saints game, the defense, I can't credit the defense too much on the Saints game because what the Saints did, they tried their best to stay away from our safeties. They did not want to throw across the middle of the field. They wanted to run the ball and throw a lot of screens and slants. And once we caught a hold of that, that's when we was able to take control and finally find a way to win the game. And and when you look at the game with what's the game? The Chiefs. Not the Chiefs, but the Buccaneers. When you look at that game, we found ways to get things going. Not much defensively. We found a few ways to get around, but that was mostly just an offensive clinic. I mean, what can you say about Kirk Cousins? We're going to talk about the offense here. Kirk Cousins, man, 509 yards in that game, 42 of 58. You look at the stats for the season. He is leading the NFL in passing yards right now at 1,373 yards as of this recording. 8 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. I wish the interceptions was down a little bit, but this is, like I said, this goes back to not necessarily playing enough in the preseason. In my opinion, he should have played at least 2 of them, but hey, I'm not the coach. But nevertheless, Tyler Algier, Bijan Robinson, you got these guys here that are absolutely phenomenal right now. Tyler Algier is averaging 5.4 yards a carry. He could get a little bit more touches, in my opinion, but Bijan Robinson also 4.3 yards a carry at 285. They're doing a pretty good job of getting all of these things in order as far as running the ball, and they got a little bit of a balance with that between that and the passing game outside of this last game that we had against the Buccaneers. Receiving, I mean, you got 2 guys that are in the top 10 in receiving yards with Darnell Mooney and Drake London. And he even got Ray McLeod up there with over 220 yards receiving. Kyle Pitts has over 190 yards receiving, and Bijan Robinson has over 150 yards receiving. Look, listen. Offensively, I don't have an issue with this team. I think this team's going to be fine offensively. What I would like to see out of the offense, I would like to see the offense get a little bit more tougher in the trenches. And I can say that for the defensive side too, which I'll get to. The offensive line is not doing a bad job. I think they're doing okay. You kind of saw the little bit of slippage when, you played against the Steelers, and, Kirk Cousins has been sacked, 10 times already? You don't want to see all of that. But overall, they're able to move guys around. They're actually able to get, Kirk Cousins some time to throw the ball. They also have a chance for, the running backs to get the ball in space. And, once they go through the first line of, once they get through the first line of defense against the opposition, they're able to get some yards. So it's not terrible. But if you want anything to improve, you definitely want this team to be able to protect a little bit better, run block a little bit better, because that's their bread and butter. But there's no doubt they're doing really good defensively. The secondary hasn't got too many chances. I mean, Mike Evans was like the only receiver that really shined, but Mike Evans shines against pretty much everybody. You look at other receivers that played against us, Chris Olave, and the Steelers really didn't do anything. Devontae Smith, when they played against us, he did okay. But Mike Evans was like the only one that really, made a difference, in my opinion. The secondary has not really been tested too much. The problem with the defense of the Atlanta Falcons is the run blocking and the pass rush. Just stopping the run and the pass rush. They're getting ran over a lot in the trenches, and I think you got guys up front that can make it happen. We are not getting that many sacks. We're not getting that much pressure, and a lot of quarterbacks are able to stand in the pocket for a little bit and throw the ball. In some cases, actually able to scramble around in the pocket. That doesn't help matters when you have a high-powered offense like this. I don't want to be in a situation where we're constantly trying to win games close or just be in a shootout. Because I think this team, defensively, I think they have the talent to be lights out, to be at least, and I don't know where they are right now. Maybe they are in the top, the top half of the league. I would love to see this team to get to at least top 10, top 12, maybe even top 13 type of defense. You got that, and you have this offense the way it's running right now. You have a recipe for a Super Bowl run, and I don't really want to say that's where they're on right now. But you got to get to that level if you want to have that chance to be on that type of run. But with the way the defense is, and they're playing okay, the offense is playing lights out. You're probably looking at somewhere where you can get maybe one win in the playoffs as of right now. Once you get that defense together where you can put pressure on the quarterback, give some opportunities to the secondary, because you got two great safeties. You have AJ Terrell, and even Mike Hughes been playing well. So when you got a secondary like that, and you bring in Richie Grant that could come in and play, you got everything in order to make it happen. And I think this is what you've been seeing for the past few weeks, where every week has been getting a little bit better, but you just really want to want this to happen earlier. If they continue on this path, it's a possibility that they can get to that point. Top 15, top 10 defense with offense right now that looks like they're easily top 5. Offense. You get those things, you're on a recipe on a Super Bowl run, and you can make a lot of defenses or a lot of teams really scared to play you. And, and playing at home helps a lot, because I see the atmosphere changing. I'm a season ticket holder. So I see the atmosphere changing. I see, the energy in the Mercedes Benz actually changing. You get to win some more games like this, or you get to win in general, and you start being, on the echelon to where you can, win 10, 11, 12 games. You're probably going to be looking at a packed crowd and a team that has a lot of confidence in a quarterback and a lot of talent around that quarterback that could actually make a serious run. At the end of the day, this is what I'm going to give the grade for the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons, right now, with everything that has happened, I'm going to knock them because of the Steelers game, because that's a game that you could have won. But to me, just felt like they was not prepared. This team also will get a B+. If they would have won that game, and if they would have found a way to get a better pass rush and a better, defensive front seven, more pressure, and not be ran over by the run game, I could easily give this team an A. But this team is really a few plays away of being 4-0. I'm sorry, 5-0. There are a few plays away, and I understand the whole Kyle Pitts pass interference call against the Chiefs. I get it. Flip side of that as well, we called a very bad call on the 4th down on that play as well. So there's a lot here that you can say this is that and this is this and this is that. But when you look at everything, this could have been a 5-0 team, and this could have been an A+ easily. So at the end of the day, B+ for the Georgia Southern Eagles, B+ for the Atlanta Falcons. Both teams are going up against formidable foes coming up. Georgia Southern playing Marshall. The Falcons are going to be playing Carolina. And when you look at this looks like both teams could get a win and be 4-2 and going into the next part of the season on the right foot. So let me know what you guys think. I know this is a longer episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you like this content, hit the like button. Share this podcast. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let me know what you guys think about this team. Both of them. What do you think about the Georgia Southern Eagles? What do you think about the Atlanta Falcons? I think they're both on the right track. They could do something really good going into the further on in the season if they keep it up. The Falcons, I will say this, seriously. If the Falcons get a pass rush, or if they can stop the run, they're going to be a nightmare for any team in the NFL. They're going to be a nightmare, because this team right here has everything going for them outside of that. And as for Georgia Southern, they just need to keep doing what they're doing. They're not doing anything that calls for concern. So that's pretty much it. It's good to have this problem, guys. It's not a big problem, it's not a big deal. And as long as you have the talent to make it happen, Falcons should be okay. And for Georgia Southern, like I said, they're doing everything they're supposed to do. And they lost games that they probably should have lost with Boise State and Ole Miss. If they play to the level that they're playing, they could run through the Sun Belt, because App State's not looking that good. Marshall's looking okay. JMU just lost. So the blueprint is kind of out there, what we can do to win these games. So let me know what you guys think. I'm going to get up out of here. You can find me on YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Follow me on X at VFBaller. And I'll see you guys on the next one. All right, y'all. Y'all take it easy. And I'm out. Peace.